Maybe it does mean. Maybe it might.
Right.
Maybe it might.
This fight is so close. They're so closely knitted that you got to look for all the small pieces because the small things are what going to add up to somebody winning the fight.
And fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody.
But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career.
The thing I like about Teo's style, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys.
Roy Jones Jr. and Max Kellerman discuss a possible matchup between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, focusing on mentality, bravery, and ambition, with Kellerman explaining that while Stevenson has more at stake due to his established status, Lopez stands to gain significantly if he delivers a decisive win on boxing's biggest competitive stage.
He's the undefeated fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound-for-pound champ, potentially. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that. But oh my God, if he can pull it off. Like, if it's a close fight and Teo could keep it close and we're going into the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, is there an advantage there given that situation?
He came back from that Kambosos fight, but in some way, the jury is still out on Teo a little bit because I'm going to tell you why. On that card that was done in Times Square, he looked the best out of, with all due respect, out of a lot of people that did.
However, Roy Jones Jr. compares a matchup to a hypothetical Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford fight, where power would be evenly matched, while emphasizing that Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez would come down to a pure skill-for-skill contest, decided primarily by technique and boxing IQ rather than raw strength.
Good damn fight, too. See, that fight is skill for skill, as good as this fight. But they just haven't been around long enough to prove themselves yet. But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because we're in their career. That's how accomplished they are. These two guys are also equal where they're in their career because they're accomplished, but not as accomplished as these two. But they're still equal accomplished. You understand me? So those are two good damn fights and what boxing.
Max Kellerman highlights Teofimo Lopez's footwork, pointing out how effortlessly he circles opponents, cuts angles, manages distance, and avoids danger through smart movement and strong ring intelligence.
I have to be honest, the way I see it, I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys. And I think about Buddy McGirt, Meldrick Taylor.
Yes.
Roy, where Meldrick had quick enough feet where if you were going to come right at Buddy McGirt, he could box you. But Meldrick could give him angles that were more difficult. I think of Roy Jones.
Teofimo Lopez expresses strong confidence in his preparation, explaining that boxing is driven by mindset as much as physical ability. He describes mental readiness as a skill built through repetition, discipline, focus, and muscle memory, comparing it to experimenting with different routines until you find what truly works for you. According to Lopez, fighters must train their minds the same way they train their bodies, because failing to develop that mental sharpness ahead of time can be costly on fight night. He believes a psychological edge will ultimately decide the winner, and says his personal approach is centered on constantly striving for perfection.
Mentally prepared with the audience? Are you mentally going to be prepared with the certain punch selection?
There's things that I have to maintain as well. Those are things that I have to work on within myself. It's a muscle. Like, think of it like condiments, right? You got your ketchup, you got your mustard, you got all these type of condiments, but you don't know if you like it or not unless you try it. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to getting prepared for certain things like this. Pretty much you have to try different things, different steps, different routines, different ways to see what really fits and works for you. And if they all fit and work for you, when is the right time to apply them? And it's a muscle memory that you have to create now. If you don't create now, it can harm you the day of the fight. The mentality part of it is gonna really be the key moment for who wins that night. I'm that type of person, truly, that type of person that focuses on.
Wade, the host, stresses that this matchup is a major win for the sport of boxing, noting that both fighters had other options but chose to challenge each other instead. He explains that high-stakes, best versus best fights are what push boxing forward, creating momentum for even bigger opportunities down the line. According to Wade, these kinds of matchups elevate the entire sport, and even a fighter who comes up short can benefit from the exposure, growth, and experience gained on such a big stage.
Right at that chest, it's coming, it's coming.
That was 9 rounds of sparring. I ain't gonna tell y'all the minutes, but yeah, I'm preparing to my fullest. So I'm putting in a lot of work and getting ready. Sure. Training with Shakur is amazing. A guy like me been knowing Shakur for over 10 years now. The boxing world know that we brothers and we'll never fight each other. And just being around him in his camp, man, it's nothing but positive energy. And everybody wanting to be great. He's like my big brother, man. Like, he is my big brother, honestly. You know, he got all the wisdom in the world, especially when it comes to defense. So he's just making sure I stay sharp on my defense and not getting hit.
Wade draws a comparison to MMA and UFC, where fighters can take losses and still grow their status by consistently competing in high-level, entertaining matchups that keep fans engaged. He explains that the same approach benefits boxing, as elite opponents facing each other raise one another's profile. In this case, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson both gain added visibility and respect simply by sharing the ring. After a fight like this, each man comes out with increased recognition and momentum toward future marquee bouts, giving fans a reason to tune in knowing they'll see top-tier athletes competing at the highest level.
People don't realize about making best versus best fights. For the most part, only good can come from this. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that, because I don't want to have one of these fights where we get a stinker performance or anybody. But when the pressure is this high, when the stakes are this high, and you get this kind of opportunity, it will compound interest, even sometimes for the loser as well. This is why you look at MMA and you look at the UFC, and they have guys with 10 losses, 5 losses, 12. Some people that you would never think are going to compete for a championship, and maybe they don't even compete for a championship, but they're in interesting fights that people want to watch. Doing fights like this makes Teofimo Lopez, makes Shakur Stevenson a bigger name, and therefore, after...
Sean Porter says with confidence that Shakur will always be Shakur, pointing to blend of consistency and unpredictability that defines him as a fighter. On fight night, there's no certainty about which version of either man will appear, but one thing Porter is sure of is that Shakur brings his own pace, style, and intensity every time he enters the ring. He reflects on Shakur's most recent outing, explaining how Shakur studied his opponent early, made adjustments, and gradually asserted control. Porter also addresses the criticism labeling Shakur as overly defensive, noting that Shakur stayed in the pocket more than expected, willingly taking risks and even unnecessary shots to prove a point. According to Porter, that decision showed confidence, discipline, and ring intelligence, and it helped further establish Shakur's credibility and connection with fans.
Of that type of stuff, because what Teo's saying is true. Like, for him to go to the next level in his career, and for Shakur as well, they need to be tested, and they have been, especially Teo. Teo's taken some tough fights. He's beaten Vasily Lomachenko, beaten Josh Taylor, beaten Arnold Barboza. Like, these are tougher Sandor Martin was a tough test as well. But my point is, this is how you get better. And this is why it frustrates me that guys won't take tough fights until they're 25-0 sometimes. And he's talking about Shakur's lateral movement, talking about how good he is as a boxer. This is, again, win or learn, in my opinion. Not that the stakes don't matter, not that wins and losses don't matter, but how are you ever going to really show your talent level if you aren't competing with the best? And Shakur has the same opportunity. This is Shakur's toughest test, no doubt about it. The Williams-Zepeda fight was a tough test because of the style of fight that Zepeda brings, but Zepeda is not the boxer that Teofimo.
Fighters and fans who once questioned his style began to change their perspective, recognizing his determination and high-level ring intelligence. Shakur's ability to stay true to his identity while making smart adjustments in real-time highlights, why is viewed as one of boxing's most compelling young talents, capable of thriving under pressure and earning respect from both fans and analysts.
What I'm saying?
No, you know, we gonna always Shakur gonna always be Shakur. The offense that we saw from him in his last fight was just, he knew what he had in front of him, and eventually he knew that he was going to be in a position where he could have his way with the kid who was in the ring. I'm losing his name off the top of my head.
Right, I know you're talking about. But I believe he fought that way because he started hearing all the call of him running. He started saying, you know what? Let me stay in the pocket, because he stood in the pocket a lot more than he normally stood in the pocket with that fight. You know what I'm saying?
It took some unnecessary shots.
Huh?
It took unnecessary shots.
Well, okay, right. Mm-hmm. But you see what kind of fan base he got after that too. The doubters started saying, you know what? I'm a roll.
Mikey Garcia weighs in on the Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez matchup, calling it a major fight that boxing fans are eagerly anticipating. He praises both fighters, but points out the unpredictability of Lopez, sometimes showing the dominance and skill that defeated Lomachenko and Taylor, while other times having an off night. That inconsistency is the main question heading into this bout. Garcia also emphasizes that facing a fighter like Stevenson is always tough, as his speed, technical ability, and adaptability make him a challenge for anyone, no matter their size or experience.
Well, it did his last 10 fights damn near. You know, like,
nah.
Oh, man. What?
Nah, Mayweather wasn't running, bro. Mayweather was out there putting on master classes. He was
not doing what he was doing when he was pretty boy. He was not bringing it to him. Come on.
Well, them hands was like skeleton hands by then.
Okay. Whatever the reason was. I went with the eye test. Man.
So
when you go ahead.
So when it comes to Shakur and Teo, I feel like if it's not if Teo's not fighting someone that's being aggressive, pressing him a little bit, he taps out. And I feel like Shakur is not going to trade the way he did in the last fight, because he knows he's going up in weight and Teo has power, obviously. So I believe that this is going to be one of those fights where he kind of fights on the outside, frustrates him a little bit. I expect it to be a fairly...
Mikey Garcia explains that Teofimo Lopez could leverage his size advantage, having more experience at this weight class and greater physical presence, to potentially control the fight and create opportunities. However, he notes that Shakur Stevenson's intelligence and ring awareness make the matchup extremely tough. Garcia stresses that this fight represents a real test for both fighters, a battle of skill, power, and strategy that could shape their careers and captivate boxing fans around the world.
Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, big fight coming up pretty soon. What do you think about that matchup?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man? Great to see you, brother. Always good to see you, man.
Happy New Year, man.
You too. We love you.
Great matchup, tough fight. I want to see what Teofimo shows up, because sometimes it's Teofimo, sometimes it's Teofimo, the great fighter who beat Lomachenko, who beat Taylor. That's a tough Teofimo. But then we've also seen him, in off nights.
Right.
And so that's kind of the only question that I have. Which Teofimo's gonna show up.
What do you think he has to do to kind of deal with a guy like Shakur Stevenson? How would you approach a fighter like Shakur Stevenson if you were Teofimo Lopez with the attributes that he has?
I would think Teofimo, being that technically he's a bigger fighter, bigger size. He's been at the weight.
Mickey Bay analyzes a Stevenson versus Lopez matchup, highlighting the importance of mindset, focus, and passion for the sport. He notes that while Gervonta Davis might pose a threat if Shakur faltered even briefly, beating Teofimo Lopez would be extremely difficult for anyone not fully prepared. Bay emphasizes that Shakur's dedication sets him apart. He's a true gym rat, constantly training, fully focused, and fully aware of his abilities inside the ring.
Shakur Stevenson's so fucking good at what he does. Defense is on point, speed is on point, footwork is on point. And I mean, he's really one of the best skilled fighters out there. So it's hard to say, oh, this is what you gotta do. No, it ain't easy, trust me. But being Teofimo, again, if he's bigger, naturally stronger, then he should try to use that, to his...
This level of dedication makes Shakur a tough opponent to overcome. Drawing a parallel to how Canelo faced challenges against a focused Terrence Crawford, Bay sees Teofimo Lopez as a wild card, unpredictable in high-stakes fights. However, Shakur's passion for boxing and thorough mental preparation give him an advantage. Bay describes Stevenson as a fighter who knows exactly who he is in the ring, fully understands his strengths, and is always ready to seize the right opportunities.
Nah, unless Tank, if Shakur get dropped once or twice and he still get up and win, maybe, but nah, if Shakur win this fight against Teo, I don't see it happening. I would love for it to happen. You know, Tank got the talent. I mean, that's a good fight to me. I always looked at it like at least close to a 50-50 fight outside of his, Shakur just seemed more locked in and more focused than him. Tank just seemed like he ain't really, I don't know, it don't seem like he loved the game right now. So he just got to get his love back for the sport. Even if it ain't the love, because a lot of people could do it without loving the sport. But fighting a dude like Shakur, you got to be locked in, because Shakur is locked in. Like he more locked in than you.
The fight could be close, particularly in the opening rounds. Shakur Stevenson's discipline, focus, and deep passion for boxing position him as a favorite. Bay emphasizes a fighter's mindset, preparation, and love for sport are what truly make champions nearly unbeatable. Meanwhile, Robert Garcia shares his perspective on the eagerly awaited Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez matchup, praising the skill and talent both fighters bring. He notes Lopez's impressive victories and strong performances, while highlighting Shakur's remarkable achievement as a three-division champion pursuing a fourth title at such a young age.
Even the top, 99%, he in that small percentage of fighters that just love the sport, and he always in the gym. It's hard to beat a dude like that. That's why it was hard for Canelo to beat Terrence. As good as Canelo is and as bigger as he is, Terrence locked in. He a gym rat. Shakur's a gym rat. So that's kind of why I give him the edge over Teofimo. It's a good fight. Teo is like a wild card. You don't know what you're going to get, but he do step up in them top fights.
Garcia emphasizes that beyond pure skill, this fight will be a test of heart and determination. He believes the winner will be the fighter who thinks strategically, avoids mistakes, and seizes opportunities rather than relying solely on power or aggression. While the bout might not deliver constant action, every exchange will matter, keeping fans on the edge of their seats as they watch for decisive punches. Garcia also points out that both Stevenson and Lopez are competing in their primes, not waiting until later in their careers, which makes the matchup even.
That represent New York and New Jersey respectively, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson getting together. What do you think about that matchup?
That's a great matchup, man. Both fighters are great fighters, very talented. Teofimo has had some great performances, great wins. Shakur is also a three-division champion going for his fourth. Unbelievable talent. It's a fight where we're going to see talent from both, but we also have to see heart. That who has that heart to become.
This fight goes beyond size, titles, or highlight reels. It's a clash of mindsets. Everyone featured in the discussion agreed on one thing: champions are defined by preparation, courage, and the willingness to take risks. Teofimo Lopez brings physicality, footwork, and high potential, while Shakur Stevenson offers discipline, sharp ring intelligence, and steady confidence built through relentless training. It's this contrast that makes the matchup so compelling and captivating for fans.
That fight's going to be more about who's smarter, who plays the better cards, and and who doesn't make mistakes, because it's going to be one of those fights where we might not have too much action, but we're all going to be standing up because we want to see who's going to land and who's going to be the one that finds those punches to land. It's a very interesting fight, and they're both in the prime. They're both, that's what boxing is about. We're not Ortiz, Boots, Teofimo, Shakur. They're not waiting till they're 37, 38 to fight.
Even more compelling, he stresses that primetime fights like this capture the essence of boxing: skill, strategy, heart, and perfect timing. Fans will appreciate the clash because it showcases two elite athletes at the peak of their abilities. Garcia adds that the frequent trash talk in boxing can sometimes reflect a hint of insecurity, noting fighters like Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Claressa Shields, highly skilled athletes who occasionally face criticism for lacking knockout power.
Look at what do these fighters have in common? Some people say they don't have a strong punch. So, again, I understand showmanship, I understand trash talk, but you don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. That's the point I'm making. You don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. And I feel like with Shakur, we hear it all the time. Even Devin and Claressa, the other examples that I gave, we do hear this where it's like, I'm gonna knock you out, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna stop you. Devin Haney even made a bet with Ryan Garcia telling him he needs to retire. And they bet, if I knock you out in the first round, you have to...
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more updates next time.